Hi, this is IK. Welcome to why does useEffect take an arrow function as a parameter? Here is example. useEffect, there is a parameter arrow function. Arrow function, empty parameter, and in body of arrow function we have calling function fetch post calling in arrow function body, and second parameter is empty array. Okay, but concentrate on this fetch post calling of this fetch post function. Why we cannot code like this? useEffect and in parameter directly fetch post calling of function, because it is not calling of function in directly. It is must be activate useEffect, and useEffect must activate arrow function. Only useEffect can start arrow function, and only arrow function in body of arrow function can be we have explicit directly calling of fetch post. But here when during first rendering is a series of events, and when rendering see something like this in this position in parameter, it would start it during first rendering, and it is maybe in the beginning of that rendering will be started. It is calling function, and the rendering process will call that function. But we want that calling of function would be after first rendering, when first rendering finished, and there is a moment, there is an event did mount. When we use class component did mount, it means a component is finished rendering. That event start useEffect, and starting useEffect means activate useEffect would be activate arrow function, and in body of arrow function there is fetch post calling of fetch post function, because with this parenthesis fetch post name of a function with this parenthesis is calling, and like this over arrow function when we write it is the reason why we here use arrow function and not directly function directly in parameter function. Here in body of here is a second parameter, pardon, first parameter is this function existing concretely because of this is curly brackets, and the second is arrow, empty arrow, don't depend of anything, and will be useEffect would be start only one when component finished first time rendering. I use artificial intelligence about this. And here is interesting what artificial said. Additionally, arrow function automatically capture the surrounding scope, so you can access the component state and props without explicitly binding them inside the function. Genius. Fetch post here, this arrow function, there is access to component properties and function. Because of that, we have that fetch post here. But also, we can have from component scope, component function, we can access through this parameter if we need. Here, useEffect is inner function of read.js component, and inner function of useEffect is arrow function, and part of arrow function, in body of arrow function, is fetch post. But fetch post, owner of fetch post is component. It is outside of useEffect. But useEffect have access to, it is effect closure, have access to outside of useEffect, have access to component, component function and variable, and when useEffect have access, also this arrow function have access to useEffect scope. To useEffect scope. It is like component is parent, useEffect is child, and this arrow function is grandchild. It is that hierarchy, and it is what I read there in artificial intelligence. It is one more reason for use arrow function and not directly this function, because here we have possibility use parameter of arrow function. Here is that possibility, there is no. But for me, first and most important reason is that rendering process will execute fetch post when we don't need it in first, but we want that first rendering would be complete without useEffect, and only after first rendering event did mount activate useEffect, and useEffect call this fetch post, and fetch post is a side effect. It is in our situation, it must go out on mock server and take array, and because of this it will happen only one time, that first time. It means that before to see anything on the screen, we have two rendering here. Here is React application. We don't use Redux. We don't need Tank. React application. React application what get data from a mock server, and we have always. It means that we have always two rendering, at least two rendering, because first rendering means initial state of our post. Initial state of our post. It would be here this. This is initial state of our post. And after that, activate useEffect and activate fetch function, fetch post. And after that we have, if all is okay, we have array from server. We can see that if use console.log, and here concretely I now concentrate on post. Other state not interesting now, but also in first rendering we will see all first show edit ROM would be false, and console log update here is we see constant post is empty, constant show edit form state will be false, and constant update will be empty, and constant is loading would be false. I open application, and this is a read.js component, and look at, we have 3 times calling read.js 10, 12, 14, 16, and again 10, 12, 14, 16, and again 10, 12, 14, 16. It is this look at 10, 12, 14, 16, and it means 3 times we have we look at state 3 times, and that means that we have 3 renderings. We have 3 rendering. Here it is. First rendering, it is initial state, and we have initial state empty array. Look at it, is empty array post. It is post. Read 10. False is second state. Empty here in read.js 14. It is nothing. It is updated ID, and false. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 variable initial state. Again, second rendering is useEffect. useEffect, and interesting that in this second we don't see, we need third rendering, and useEffect produce second rendering. But after that second rendering, we have not updated state. We only get array. We only get array, but we need a third rendering after set post. And in set post we have immutable update, and we have this our visible our array what coming from mock server. Other was the same, false and nothing false. And I didn't hope this. I hope that we have two rendering. First is rendering component. After that first rendering, we will see post, set post, and other initials. We will see initial state. It is empty. But second rendering, it is activate useEffect activate, and useEffect have get data, but useEffect will not change data. And it is interesting that second rendering is again only empty state. It means that we have no changes between first rendering and second rendering. It is useEffect, and it means that set post is activate and induce third rendering. And it is not with rule, because we have not changes of post. How can useEffect induce second rendering? It is okay. But how can it is okay that we have after mounting, even did mount, start useEffect, call useEffect, call fetch state, fetch post, and fetch post get array, but must happen post, set post, and set post induce third rendering. And here second rendering I hope to see only two rendering. Look at code. It means here is initial state, and I hope to see it only one time. And useEffect activate fetch post, and look at fetch post. Fetch post change set is loading. And after finished fetch post, it is set loading false again. And we see that set is loading false. And here we have posts, but we have immutable update here in this situation. In this situation, set post here, and artificial intelligence said that set post activate third rendering. But we have a change of state here also, but never see true, and always see false, like it is not happen. Always see false, and set posts have third rendering, but second rendering I don't see reason. But here is experience. We have tools for control of numbers of rendering, but it is not a topic of this video. But okay, we have 3 renderings, and first is rendering of loading first time, and rendering first is initial state. Second is use fetch. Also, we see only initial state, and the activation of set points. What it is true that first must happen fetch post, and inside and during fetch post we have a set post, and fetch post here didn't change. Fetch post have execution code in body, and that execution code activate, here it is set post, activate third rendering, and without it, of course, without set post, we have not a new state. Set post, we need set post, but first of set post happen fetch post, and the fetch post and activation fetch post before set post, that rendering activation of but why not useEffect start fetch post, and it is not reason for rendering. Reason for rendering is set post, and set post is reason for re-rendering, and we must have two rendering. We must have 2 rendering. Refresh. Again, 3 rendering. After 20 minutes of asking artificial intelligence, here is a conclusion. You and me don't see second state and rendering was because changes of is loading from false initial to true second, and set post is third. Not only set post, there is loading to false again. Look at here. It is initial state. We have empty post and false, nothing false. But second time, it is here is loading is true. Let's go to C. Look at the second time, true. I didn't see it. I see false, false, and again false, false, because I look at in third time false, false, and I didn't see true. It is a reason for second re-rendering, and a reason for third re-rendering is set post, and we have immutable update post state, and we have is loading again change to false. It is in a same environment, and together this change is false, and this post, it is it takes only one together for both re-rendering. Look at code. It means first initial state, And second is activate useEffect, and activate fetch post. And now let's go to look in fetch post. Fetch post, here it is. Fetch post, try set is loading true. Set is loading true, and is loading was false. And this moment happened before asynchronous request to mock server, and immediately we have re-rendering, and we see true for is loading. And after that re-rendering, it is second re-rendering, we have request and response of mock server, and we have post, and we have set post. Set post, we immutable update post here, but also after that we immutable update set is loading false. It is together changes of state together induce only one re-rendering. When we look at that, this immediately induce second re-rendering, and this is not produce third re-rendering, and set is loading false fourth re-rendering. Not because okay, thanks to React, it is good that they do, and it is excellent experience that a set post is not provoke induce re-rendering, and set is load false again re-rendering. It will be fourth re-rendering. It means that React take care about this two statement. Why I think about that? Because here is changes in second. We have second re-rendering, but here we will see third, but not in that third re-rendering. We see also false happening this, and in this video we see how that rendering and re-rendering goes in this application 417. It is application that have data in mock server, but don't use Redux, don't use Tank. And in the next video we will see same, but not next. We can see that in this one video. Let's go use what happened when we have Redux, and after that what happened when we have Tank. Here is 454 application. It is, we use Redux, but we have reducers. We have only the data state from React, not from outside. We don't use here mock server. Only we have Redux, and state go to central state store. But we have reducers, we have action coming from React, not from mock server. and we have reducers, not extra reducer, and we have not tank. And after post list JS10, we have immediately initial value. It is initial state. We have two post. It is initial state. When we look at here, we have, it means only one rendering and initial state. For here it is 4, 5 initial state. Look at initial state, and we have that two post and all other data about that, all other properties of that post. Initial state. After that, we add post, delete, update, etc. It is okay. It is a 454 application. It is React Redux application. Here is a tank 1 application, and we see after fetch post, after dispatch fetch post is tank. We have at first initial value, second again initial value, I think on the post was initial value, but changes post status from idle to pending. And here is the third array, re-rendering. First is rendering, second re-rendering, third re-rendering. We have a fulfilled post status, succeed, and we have update by extra reducer, update state. It is tank. When we have tank, because we have three rendering and re-rendering, 3 times rendering, it is here tank 1. It is because of this dispatch fetch post. Dispatch fetch post is tank. It is first rendering, initial value. Post status is idle, post is empty, and the error is null. And fetch post send to dispatch first pending and second fulfilled, or depend of status, fulfilled, succeed, or rejected, failed. And it is together 3: first dispatch action and second and third fetch post dispatch. Here it is, fetch post is in a post slice, and it is very, very interesting to see that difference, how many times rendering during first opening component. If you like this video, like it, subscribe. You can comment in social network also, and send your friends, and engage. Your engagement means growing of our community around this video, and growing our learning, our knowledge. And okay, it's all. Thank you for watching this video.